Artemisia Gentileschi. She was 17, just 17, when the world she knew collapsed in a single afternoon. A trusted family friend walked into her life and tore it apart. A secret violence, a trauma she never asked for. But unlike most women of her time, women who were expected to remain silent, obedient, invisible, she fought back. She went to court. She testified. She endured torture meant to prove her honesty. In a packed courtroom, she screamed the truth while heavy ropes crushed her fingers, the same fingers she used to paint. Yet the question remains, how does a girl marked by violence become one of the most powerful artists in the history of the world? How did Artemisia Gentileschi, a young woman denied rights, denied safety, denied respect, take her pain and turn it into paintings so fierce, so alive, that they still shake viewers for centuries later? Today, we travel into the world of a woman who refused to be destroyed. A woman who carved her name in history with light, shadow, and absolute defiance. Childhood and family. Artemisia was born in 1593 in Rome, a noisy, chaotic, deeply religious city where art wasn't just decoration. It was power. Her father, Orazio Gentileschi, was a respected painter. His workshop was filled with brushes, pigments, canvases, and secrets of the craft that young girls were never meant to learn. But Artemisia, curious, stubborn, brilliant, watched everything. By the age of 12, she was mixing pigments. By 13, she was copying her father's paintings. By 15, she was better than most professional male apprentices. Yet Rome was not kind to talented women. Women were told to stay home, to sew, to marry, to pray, never to paint, never to take up space. But Artemisia took it anyway. She learned the dramatic contrasts of light and shadow, a style inspired by Caravaggio, but softened with emotion, especially in the way she painted women. She wasn't just learning art, she was preparing for survival. The tragedy of youth. When Artemisia was 16, a man entered her life, Agostino Tassi, a friend of her father, a painter hired to teach her perspective. He praised her talent, complimented her brushwork, encouraged her curiosity. And then one day, he locked the door. What happened next follows Artemisia like a shadow through history. She resisted. She fought. She screamed for help. Tassi silenced her. In the months that followed, he lied, manipulated, and pretended there was a promise of marriage, a promise he never intended to keep. When the truth came out, Orazio did something revolutionary. He took Tassi to court. But the trial was not about justice. It was about humiliation. Artemisia was forced to undergo the Sibyl torture. Thick cords wrapped around her fingers, tightened until bones almost broke. Her painting hands, her future. And yet she shouted, "It is true, it is true, it is true." The court heard her, but society judged her anyway. It was a wound that would follow her forever and shape the fury, courage, and depth of her art. Rebirth through art. After the trial, Artemisia needed to escape Rome. She married not out of love but necessity and moved to Florence, a city of culture, music, and rebirth. Here, something extraordinary happened. She painted her rage. She painted her truth. She painted women not as decoration, but as warriors. One of her earliest masterpieces, Susanna and the Elders, shows a young woman shrinking away from two powerful men. Unlike male artists who painted the same scene as an erotic fantasy, Artemisia painted pain, fear, violation. Because she knew it, her canvas became her refuge, her therapy, her rebellion. Golden years in Florence. Proud, powerful, triumphant, Florence transformed her. She became the first woman ever admitted to the prestigious Accademia dell'Arti del Disegno. She received commissions from the Medici family. She exchanged letters with Galileo Galilei himself. Her most iconic works emerged here. Judith slaying Holofernes. Judith, strong and fearless, cuts down a tyrant with blood-soaked determination. A painting of justice. A painting of vengeance. A painting only Artemisia could create with such intensity. Mary Magdalene as melancholy. A woman caught between sin and redemption. Cleopatra, power, tragedy, and agency in a single moment of death. In all her paintings, women take center stage, not as victims, but as heroes, as decision-makers, as forces of nature. Artemisia wasn't just painting women. She was rewriting them. Return to Rome and Amp, later travels. Despite success, life wasn't easy. Her marriage fell apart. Money was unstable. Her reputation, forever tied to the trial, followed her everywhere. She returned to Rome, seeking work. But the art world remained hostile. So she traveled to Venice, Naples, even London, chasing commissions, painting tirelessly, building her name again and again. In London, she reunited briefly with her father, Orazio. They worked together on decorations for the royal court. She lived, painted, struggled, survived, always moving, always creating. After her death in the mid-1600s, the world forgot her. Men took credit for her work. Historians ignored her brilliance. Museums misattributed her paintings. But in the 20th century, 400 years later, Artemisia rose again. Feminist scholars uncovered her story. Art historians re-examined her paintings. Women around the world saw themselves in her struggle. Today, Artemisia Gentileschi is celebrated as a pioneer, a survivor, a feminist symbol before feminism existed. Her works hang in the world's most respected museums, the Uffizi, the Louvre, the National Gallery. And every time someone stands before her, Judith slaying Holofernes, they feel the same electricity, a woman reclaiming her voice, her rage, her power. Artemisia teaches us something rare, that darkness does not have to define us, that pain can be transformed into creation, that the hands once tortured for telling the truth can paint masterpieces that outlive centuries. Her life is a reminder. You can break a girl's body, you can silence her voice, but you cannot extinguish her fire. Artemisia Gentileschi turned her wounds into light, and that light still shines. Her artistic style and amp techniques. Artemisia's style is unmistakable, a fusion of Caravaggio's dramatic shadows with an emotional depth that was entirely her own. Technically, she mastered tenebrism, those sharp contrasts where light falls like a spotlight on a single figure while everything else sinks into darkness. But unlike Caravaggio, who used this effect to heighten drama, Artemisia used light to expose truth, especially the emotional truth of women. Her brushwork was bold, confident, physical. You can almost feel the weight of the sword in Judith's hands, the trembling breath of Susanna, the aching stillness of Mary Magdalene. She studied anatomy with precision, muscles, tendons, the twist of a torso under strain, all rendered with a realism unusual for female painters of her era, who were often denied access to nude models. Symbolically, Artemisia redefined biblical women. She rejected the passive, decorative portrayals common in male-dominated art. Instead, her women act, choose, resist. Her palette was rich with deep reds, earthy browns, luminous golds. colors of blood, body, and divinity. Where other painters displayed women, Artemisia revealed them. Her scenes were intimate, yet monumental, personal, yet universal. She didn't just paint stories. She painted perspectives, especially the perspective of a woman who had known both suffering and strength. Artemisia's art stands at the intersection of darkness and illumination, violence and resilience, realism and raw human emotion. Her canvases are not just masterpieces. They are testimonies